So if anybody was worried about having free tables, I collected already 2 cups in only 2 hours. So don't worry too much. It's just the way it is. It actually the tea was not so much about cups. So I was thinking maybe we do another meditation now. And I will also tell you what we do in the meditation, so to empower you to think about if you want to join this meditation or not to join it. And then afterwards, after this meditation, we can have a discussion or question-answer, or you can also raise your objection, and if something is illogical. So as I said, Buddhism is about critical inquiry, not accepting what's been said, really investigating things critically. So it's good to have some discussion also about these things, which we do then after the meditation. So my idea for this meditation, I just introduce it for you, and then you can think about if you want to follow this type of meditation. If you don't want to follow, you can just relax where you sit, or do either some breathing exercise, you take a nap, or whatever is comfortable for you, or you look in a book, or check your WhatsApp, Facebook messages. So just feel free and at ease. So my idea about the meditation is we start a little bit from connecting, first we bring our mind to our body, then relax a little bit the body and mind, and then we try to focus inwardly into our, let's say, deepest inner nature. This nature is connected with the mind, it's not existing outside of the mind, and this is basically to feel how this wish to be happy and to be free from suffering really permeates our mind and is the most stable thing in our whole existence. So the thing is, everything changes. I mean, our body changes, our intelligence changes. Now, remember, we have a strong identity with what we are now, but we are not the same person anymore as we were when we were 3 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old. So we are quite of a different person, but we are not totally disconnected from that state. We are not totally different, but we are also not totally the same. It would be stupid if we would be the same. Hello, then here would sit a baby. I mean, a baby in an adult body. Doesn't make sense. We are more intelligent, and our body also functions a little bit better than when we were a baby. So, but these states, these change, and now also, I mean, if you get old. Also intelligence changes, so you can be a professor, a high faculty person, and then you get Alzheimer's or something like this, and then everything falls apart. There are other things like brain damage. There are different types of things. I don't know these terms in English, certain sicknesses, where you can change from one day to the other to be a different type of personality, you could even say. Yeah, sometimes this happens too. It's for the positive and the negative, by the way. I know a case of someone who was an electrician who fell in coma by too much energy from the electrics, and later he had healing power. No joke, he was a totally different person. So sometimes this also can be, what you are next could be better than you were before in this life. I only speak about this life. And, but although these things, I mean body and mind, change all of the time, to the worse, to the better. All these states of existence, our experience, are permeated or based on the wish or the longing to be happy and free from suffering. This is one reality which we try to connect with. And when we have done this is the first step, we try to think about, okay, I want to be happy. What do I do to find happiness? So I consume this, I buy this, I use this, I train this. If we do some Buddhism, we want to do some meditation, cultivating love, compassion, because it makes us more happy. And then we check, but even if you have love, compassion, or concentration, or you have material objects, it doesn't last too long. So this all changes, and it's like sand in the hand. It's not. So at the end, we fall back, and this is then the frustrating point, to the point of dissatisfaction. No? We can, by the way, become more crazy if we become a Buddhist. Yeah, because our obsession we then project into the Buddhism. So then we want to have concentration, We want to have stillness, spaciousness, love and compassion and all those things. And then we work for it like a obsessed person, and we are unhappy if we don't have these states. Then we have more grasping towards, but actually this grasping destroys all those qualities. So, and then we are unhappy about it because we don't achieve what we want, not as quickly as we wanted, and so on. And then you have far more problems. It starts already with anger. I mean, every person not following a spiritual path, anger is somewhat fine. I mean, it's no problem. In Buddhism, it becomes a problem. So that's why I say if you start to follow Buddhism, you have more problems than before. But only temporarily, hopefully, I mean, at least hopefully. And actually, it's more because you become more aware of the causes of unhappiness. That's why your view broadens. And because your view broadens, there are more objects to be considered. And this can be sometimes a little bit overwhelming. So that's why it's important to relax, and also to some basic things like a body relaxation, something also like physical sports, or things which you just like. You don't have to practice spirituality by throwing everything away. You start from where you are, and then you take a step back and try to understand it without over-analyzing things. And then gradually you learn. And the key point is that a little bit your qualities, inner qualities which cause your happiness, like letting go, quality of being able to let go, relax, have a little bit more concentration, be more kind, that they gradually increase, and those strong forces which make you really confused don't get stronger, and reduce a little bit. Then there's a change, and there is a better experience than before. And then your practice is fruitful. Then Buddhism is fruitful, or whatever you practice you apply. So. Yeah, okay, then let's do this type of meditation. It's just getting aware as it is. So take a comfortable meditation posture, basically 2 points. You try to sit upright, and secondly, you try to sit relaxed. And the exact and different types of meditation posture you can learn in a meditation course, either secular or amongst the Buddhists, different options. First, try to bring your attention into this room. Let go all your worries, the objects which are outside of this room, what is at home, or what you want to do in the break, or today, or tomorrow. Just let this go, bring your attention in this room, feel the space around you, and relax into this open space. And then softly draw your attention towards your body. Like a turtle which draws her limbs within until you feel your body, how you sit here, how your body sits here. And try to feel the whole form as a generic image, and allow your mind to rest on this awareness, in this awareness of the whole form of your body, your shape. It's a little bit like softly placing your head on a pillow. You place your mind, your awareness, on the shape and the feeling of your whole body, relaxing. Soft, gentle and peaceful. And just rest the mind there, allow it to rest there. from there you try to investigate calmly certain parts of your body. You can do a scan from the top to the feet if you are excited, if you feel more low energy or tired. You can do it from the feet to the top of the head. You scan through the body parts, and where there is tension, you ease, relax it. And if it doesn't really work by thought, you just can breathe in those places, and while you exhale, you let go all the tension. So take time a little bit to relax your body until it feels comfortable. And if you still feel some tension or tiredness, or it's very strong, remind to use the exhalation. You can just use the next exhalation deliberately. You exhale longer and you breathe out all those tensions or tiredness or whatever it is. And you can repeat it 2 times. And while you exhale, you relax your mind and body more and more. Now gently bring your awareness towards your chest. There's the so-called heart chakra. It's in the midst of our chest, close to the heart. It's just allowing your awareness to stay there. And without thinking on the past, present or future, without wanting to achieve or understand anything or make anything away, you allow yourself to relax your mind and to do nothing. Just relax and rest as it is. It feels a little bit like when you exhale, at the end of the exhalation there's a letting go. Totally opening and letting go. And you allow your mind to relax into nothing, to do nothing. And abide in this cool, relaxed state. So there might be thoughts, emotions, remembrances, or you have doubts. Or is it correct what I do or not? Be aware, but don't react on it. Let go any urge to do anything. Just relax, let go. Do nothing. Just allow yourself to relax. It's a little bit like you open your tight fist. Relax and rest just as it is. Do nothing. And now we use the ease and peace of our mind, as long as we were able to allow it to arise, to check for ourselves. We asked us the question, what am I really looking for? What is my deepest, innermost wish? And then listen to the answer without thinking. Feel it, get aware of it. Now, if a certain answer arises, for instance, I want to fulfill partnership, try to look a little bit deeper. The thesis is, behind this wish, there is the wish to be happy. Behind all those wishes we have is basically the wish to be happy and to be free from sufferings like loneliness, uncertainty, and so on. Try to feel that your inner being is permeated by these two wishes, to be happy and free from suffering. I mean, you can feel and see it, accept it, affirm it. Yes. Yes, this is really what I want. Kindly, lovingly, welcomely, approve it. It's perfectly fine to have these two wishes. Now, seeing this reality, this is the first step. And we can take responsibility to fulfill our two wishes. But the thesis is we took a wrong path to fulfill these two wishes, and so we check a little bit the path we have gone so far to fulfill these two wishes. What did we do to find happiness and to be free from suffering? Usually we consume certain types of sense objects. Could be also mental objects, like if we are an expert here and there sometimes can be a mental pliancy, intellectual. So many things we have done, consumed, met, or get rid of, try to get rid of, to have more happiness and suffering. Scan a little bit to our life, or even just this day. Now take a step back and look at it. Wow, what a hard work, exhaustion, tiredness. But what is the balance? Did my happiness really increase? If yes, wonderful. Have I fewer problems than in the past when I was a child? Do I have more? So whatever we have done temporarily eases this deep feeling of dissatisfaction, which we call dukkha, and we call it the suffering of change. What is unpleasant, dissatisfaction, not feeling so comfortable, 100% round or so, we reduce the suffering by consuming something which gives us a pleasant feeling. And this feels so nice, but it fades away and we fall back to the state of dissatisfaction, of dukkha. It's like having headache and taking a painkiller. So nice when the headache goes away, but then we fall back to a dissatisfying state. Dukkha. Again, take a step back. Don't feel carried away by it. Look on it like a researcher would look through his or her microscope. Seeing as it is, that's it. And stand or be peacefully with it. Be happy to see it more clearly. Don't allow it to frustrate you. That's it. It's just this nature of existence. And you can finish your meditation by, if it works for you, by allowing a feeling of gratitude to arise, that you were able to see more deeply the nature of our existence, that a type of a truth has revealed it to yourself. See it as something positive, even if it feels a little bit hurtful or very hurtful. Then relax and ease your focus. Slowly come back into your room, relax. And stretch your legs, arms, knees. You can also get up and do some movements if you like. So, we can have a discussion, or you can just say what comes to your mind, or scold me. Is there any question, objection? or someone wants to share a feeling or so. If not, it's also perfectly fine. It's just space. It's also space to be silent, to say nothing. Everything is okay as it is.
Earlier you mentioned your lead's quite a strong mind to approach the Four Noble Truths. And I was thinking what your advice would be to people who don't have a strong mind.
Sorry?
What about people who don't have a strong mind? What do they do differently?
I think this is an interesting thing. Maybe you can help me also a little bit by because he's a psychologist. The question is, of course, why there is not a strong mind, and there are different causes and conditions. So this should be explored. It's individuated differently, and let's say there are causes which are related to culture, like a low self-esteem, fault-finding, and something like this. But there are also causes which are more related to our mental qualities or lack of mental qualities, or qualities which are not yet so strongly developed. To give an example, what is recommended to give mind strength and power in the real sense of the word is to cultivate, for instance, metta. Metta is a loving kindness. If you cultivate love, metta, benevolence for yourself and others. And if you are interested, we can do this meditation after our lunch, exactly. Yeah. So, and actually, we did the start for this metta meditation already. I just give you a little bit the explanation. So we start and usually like feeling, I want to be happy. And then we open up like a mother for her dearest child towards this wish, our wish. Like hugging ourselves and say, yes, may I be happy. I wish so much to be happy. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be free from sickness. May I take care of myself. So sending positive wishes towards ourselves. Really permeating ourselves with love, which we give ourselves. And on a long, this meditation can be done for 1 year, 2 years, 4 years. I know people who were bullied. A professor from a university, she did this even on the street, and it totally stabilized herself. I know a person who was depressed. I don't say it's a counter means to depression. This is not what I say. I only say that I know some people whom this helped. So this love gives strength. And actually this connects already with our cultural deficit, which is we have a lack of giving love to each other, and also to have received enough love for our growing up. I mean, some say, you must have received enough. No, because some people need more, and this is also perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong. The more love, the better it is. And then we have this culture of finding faults in each other. And if you always think, I'm a deficit, you don't feel loved. So all these problems can be overcome by regular meditation on giving love to oneself. And this stabilizes the mind a lot. I will tell a small story about this. And then this love can be extended towards people around us, our close friends. Then we wish them benevolence. So you think of your best friend and a certain situation, and then imagine this person in front of you, and then you try also to feel, also you want to be so happy. I understand it now because I understand me. And you wish, may you be happy, may you be peaceful, and so on. So you give all those good wishes, and then you extend it to other beings. And this love has so many good qualities. First of all, you get happy with yourself, you get happy with others, then joy comes in. This joy gives the mind a pliancy, it's more flexible, like this good Sunday, you know. You have more positive power, and then the mind is strong, standing its ground. Actually, the Dalai Lama says, I try to remember what he said, the more we develop love for others, the more fearless and stronger our mind will be. I will check this and say it later, but it's a very, very profound thing, he says. Because if we love others, we don't mind so much about our reputation or something like this. A mother who loves her child just does what is needed to be done for the child. And the same is if we love us, we take care of ourselves. So this is a big, big force for stability in the mind. And this can be cultivated with secular means, in different types of religion. You don't need Buddhism necessarily for it, but the Theravada tradition have a very nice practice for this, and I learned it in the Theravada. So this is one, just a moment, this is one of those things which stabilize the mind, and this is already a counter means of, I call it actually, the craziness of our culture. No? And so just to bring it to a story, I just want to use a story to pinpoint this point. I remember a woman many years ago in a town in Germany. After a class, she came to me, and she is a dancer, a professional dancer. And she said, oh, I have this and that problem. And she told me a lot of problems, and I listened carefully. And while I was listening, I was thinking, well, actually, I think it only is she doesn't love herself. All problems come because she doesn't love herself. And then I said it to her, I think you never really started to accept yourself as you are and to love yourself as you are. And she said, this is right. And she said, because of this and that. I said, okay, I think all what you said comes from this. So if you want to do something about it, I would recommend you do a metta retreat, a retreat about learning to love yourself. So I had already knowledge about a good Theravada teacher where this can be learned, a person who transformed himself, who was too hard on himself. And so I recommended this to the woman, and I said to her, you can use this opportunity. I saw her 1 year later. When I saw her, the eyes were shiny. Tear came into the eyes. She smiled all over the face. I said, it was good, it was good. Oh, it was so good, it was so good. And I said, so tell me. She said, yeah, I was sitting there and I had to cry and to cry. I said, good. And what did the master say, the Theravada teacher? He said, just continue, just continue. It's all sorted out for her. So I think this is a good point for starting. Later, another thing which gives stability to the mind is ethics. This is a little bit more complicated matter. Actually, I think even for Westerners with the ethic, this is an important thing. This gives the stability to the mind, but there is more a risk that ethics become more intellectual or form a basis for pride. And pride doesn't open up the heart. Pride closes the heart. So I think the most powerful force for stabilizing the mind is metta, basically. And so we do today meditation, so you get some experience. And if you like it, you can go anywhere. There is a teacher who has some experience and can learn it and do something. And then you check if it works. Does this make sense? Okay, good. And thank you for the question.
Your story just answered what I was going to say.
Yeah?
Your story illustrated what I was
Oh,
going
good. Okay.
I just think it's that I felt you were going a bit fast before the story, because I think that layer of not loving yourself, when you go in straight away is you have to love yourself. When someone who doesn't hears that, it's really difficult for
Yes.
you. They don't know how to cope with that.
It is.
But then your story is...
Yeah, I see. I thank you also for this. Actually, it's extremely hard to love yourself if you never learned it and if the conditions didn't allow it to do, basically from a lack of love and this always finding faults with you. And I have to deal also with prisoners, of course, and also with people who have drug addicts and so on. And they all have quite a similar problem of not loving themselves, and they really hate themselves. And the prison is not conducive to their healing, not in any way. It's totally contrary. So, and then I ask an external Theravada monk to come to them and teach them metta, and they really liked it. But it took a long time. And I have also to say, I know one woman. It's the only woman I know. It never worked, sadly. Her mother was so abusive in so many ways, it just didn't work. Sometimes this happens too. And this is a very, very important point that you say, because how I said it, this raises too quickly expectations. And expectations are not in line with reality. And then from the not being in line with reality comes the disappointment. And the disappointment is frustration and pain. So that's why it's good to understand it's a process, it's a gradual process. And especially love is a feeling, and feelings can be pushed. What we actually do in the meditation is we give space that the feeling can arise. And there are two options. It arises or it doesn't arise. If it arises, nice. If it doesn't arise, also nice. We just did the first step that later it arises. And later can take 1 year. I think it needs a little bit effort. And I don't know, I didn't ask the woman how much effort she did, but I know at least one case. I really tried for a long time to help her, but she said clearly, sorry, it's really like this, it didn't work. And so sometimes this happens too. So thank you.
There's some other things you can do. I think we spoke about it yesterday a little bit. So like Tenzin is saying that quite often we focus on, what's wrong with us, like what's not good enough. It seems to be a little bit of a habit. Sometimes they call it negativity bias. So you're always focusing on what could be better, what's wrong, what could be improved in terms of our identity. So I remember, to give a bit of context to what I'm saying, someone asked Ringo Talk or Rinpoche what the function of Western psychology and psychotherapy is with regards to the Dharma, or how does it relate to it. So from what I remember, he said, I think he said this in Berlin actually, on a winter retreat, maybe you were there. He said that psychotherapy and counselling and all of these kind of things are good to create a healthy sense of samsaric self. So basically a good ego, a strong, healthy, well-adjusted ego, sense of self. And so it comes down to identity, like how we feel about ourselves, how we think about ourselves in relation to others and the world. And one thing that can be useful, that I use quite a lot with clients and also with myself, because we have this deficit of thinking what's wrong and what's, if you ask someone to write a list about your faults, it's like, how much paper have you got, how much time have you got, no problem. But then you sometimes ask them, well, what's your qualities? First of all, you have to get clear about what qualities are, because you just say, what's an inequality? People go, oh, I don't know. So you get a bit clear about that, say like kindness, for example. And then you ask people to reflect on, so what are your inequalities? And then the face just goes horrific, like, oh, I don't know, I've never thought of this before. Or this blockage comes up it's a bit arrogant to think about my good qualities. We have this sometimes in our culture. We have to be self-deprecating and not think about the good things, And also, it's very important that the individual comes to identifying qualities in themselves and not going around asking people, so what's good about me? Because it's always an outer validation, and that is weak, because if your happiness or your sense of self is based on outer validation, if someone says nice things to you, you feel good, but then someone else says something not so nice, then you fall down again. So really reflecting on what one's inequalities are, and inner qualities, not inequalities, inner qualities are, and really once you get one, you might realise that you're quite kind-hearted, and you don't just think and then that's it. You just sit with it and let it rest and feel into that, and you own it from the inside, yeah, I am generally a kind-hearted person, I care about people, and this is a quality that can't be taken away from you, and it isn't dependent on what certificate you got, or if someone says it was this, that or the other. And then slowly you get used to recognising these things in yourself, and then your sense of identity improves. You feel, I am a worthy person, and sometimes it can be very transformative. Like one client did this, and then through realising that they're worthwhile, they decided to look after themselves more, started to exercise more, change their diet very quickly, because they realised they are worthy, So that's one thing. And then Rinpoche also says that, if you want to feel better about yourself, then do it based on your capacity. Try and do something nice for other people. So you do something good and you can think, I bought an ice cream for somebody, and then you can think about, I did something nice, and then the self-esteem also improves like that as well. So then once we have a healthy samsaric ego or sense of self, that is an appropriate base to start looking at the nature of that self and so on, like with these Four Noble Truths and etc.
Thank you. I want a little bit extend something of what you said about the qualities and the deficits. We developed a course for children in Germany, and we asked the children also the title of the course was given by children. It's something about, in German they say innerlich stark sein, something like finding inner strength. Something, it might not ring so well in English, but, and so we used mindfulness to get aware of the inner strengths. We called it not quality strengths because of the child, and we also said what we defined as strength. A strength is something which is good for you and others. Like for instance, you can do good something cooking or something. We didn't use this example for the children. You can good cook, or you are good in cooking. Then this is good for you and others. So it's a strength, no? So, and then we installed something like, we called it a super detective, which we activated with the resin thing, now with the hearing sound and so. And said, so now we activated your super detective, and the super detective can get aware of things which are can recognize, detect things which are difficult to detect. What? Feelings in yourself, feelings in others, and strengths in yourself and others. So, and then we started the group, what strengths do you have? These were kids from the age from 7 to 11, and they could only tell one strength and were insecure about it. At the end, they had 22, if not more, strengths. They also found strength in each other. And then some imported this into the family, and the family was thinking about when they ate dinner together, or I recognize this strength in you, or I recognize this strength in me, I didn't know I have this strength. So, and then we did a confession ritual, or something like a confession in the sense of, we asked the children, so now we have the list of the qualities, and Josephine will read it, and you think she says it, you can do this good, true, yes, or not true, or you are insecure. So and then you think about, if it's true, you say yes. If you're not, no. And if not, you say, I don't know. So we wanted that the child really thinks, yes, I have this quality. So that when later someone comes external and say no, you say, no, I know I have this. So this was. And I tell you, these children, when this started, children at the age of 8, it was so silent, you could have fallen a needle. The eyes were like hypnotized. And Josephine said, so you are very good in welcoming other children when they come into the group. Yes. You can do this. Yes. And when they had the 7 yes, it was like a flower is blossoming. And all the other children were silent. You didn't have to. It was magical. Now, what happened with one of the children, he was 11, he could only tell one strength in the beginning. He had 22, he found out. And he was extremely sad. The mother, who is, by the way, a trauma psychotherapist, brought the boy to the course because he had this feeling of sadness. Can you do something with feelings of sadness? We said yes, and as you know, sometimes behind feeling are other things. So he was basically sad because his younger brother was in everything better than him. So actually it was a type of envy which led to sadness. So, and then the mother called me and said, do you know what happened last week? I said, no, please tell. She said, both boys were sitting at the dinner, and then the boy was in our course, looked at his younger brother, and she said to me, he never said anything good about his younger brother, and said to him, do you know what I like with you? And he told all the good things he can do. And he finished it and said, I love you. I couldn't even believe it. It's really true. And I was thinking, but this has nothing to do with our course. What can this have to do? And later I understood, no, it has to do, because he found inner qualities. He knows he has 22 qualities at least, no? And so he feels rich. How can you be jealous of someone who is rich too? You cannot. So then he could rejoice. And it was even more. Then another child said to him, what are you doing tomorrow? And he said, I go to this course. And then he said, what is it? And the mother said, mindfulness. Oh, I know this is all boring, blah, blah, blah. And he turned and said, no, it is not. And I like to go there. And then there was the teacher who said, oh, can you tell something about the mindfulness course? And he said, no, first of all, it's not a mindfulness course. It's a course about finding inner strength. And no, I don't want to tell something about it. And I really liked it. Standing, no. Yeah. And he was not angry. It was just, no, I don't want. And it's not like this. It's like this. Yeah. I mean, this is actually what we wanted to do. So, and this all comes back to this getting aware of those qualities and not shy away. Standing with them, appreciate them, celebrating them, and also not to allow to build pride on it. And it's not us, the quality. It's just the quality which benefits us and others. So, and you can do this by therapy, but you can also do this by Dharma or mindfulness practices. But this is a key thing for the strength. And the problem is the culture. I mean, if I tell you, if children at that age have exactly the same problem as me. Oh, fell down. Okay. That makes sense, no?
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, I'm really passionate about it. Sometimes I think, oh, am I scolding at the moment? Did I scold?
No, I'm just passionate. Are you going to do this third suffering? The third suffering?
The third suffering?
Before
we just still have some space. We do the third suffering and then we go into the break. We finish then with 2 minutes silence. Yeah, I was just thinking what we should do. Yeah. We do the third suffering and then we have it
lunch break.
Complete. Yeah. It's okay for you? Yeah? Or 1 minute silent that it can settle what we discussed?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, let's a little bit relax and I want to add one small point to this with the children. When I was then in Italy, another woman continued the course with the woman with whom we set it up. And when they came to this exercise with the strength, there was a boy who was an adopted child from Africa. And he had something like an insight and said, like with these big eyes to the woman and said, if we children don't know our strengths, how can we be strong in life? I want every child in this world to know their strengths. And how he said it, she started to cry. So in a way we have responsibility to find our own strengths by whatever method, be it a psychological method, awareness, analysis, or combination of all of it. No? Okay. A little bit heavy stuff, no? Somewhat? Wow. Now it gets a little bit more heavy, but I mean to say there is a way out of all of this, no? As we know already now, no? With the strings. So then the third type of suffering is called the all-pervasive suffering. And the all-pervasive, this is the most frustrating news, basically. But we can go back and have something which is nice for us. Wow. But I will say it as clearly as it is, man. What should I do? All pervasive suffering, basically the technical term is our appropriated aggregates. This is the technical term. And aggregates goes quite in the philosophy of Buddhism. A human being is not a I or you, is not an independent soul or something, but it's a conglomeration or coming together of many causes and conditions. Actually, it are processes, yeah, which come together and form something which we label a being. But there is no stable core, no essence behind it. So if you say, let's say Tenzin, no? Or if you say Anna, I know if I don't know if you say Anna, so I take Tenzin because I was just in front of you. So you think there is something like in this thing, where I mean, basically you see color and form, no? But color and form is not Tenzin, this would be a bit crazy. But then, so what is Tenzin? It's somewhere in this thing. I mean, but where in this body is located the Tenzin? I mean, there is it the rib, or what is it the lung, and is it something gas in the lung or whatever? Actually, there is no core of Tenzin. There's nothing at all. So if you say it's the mind, I mean the mind changes. So where actually you cannot really grasp to any core or essence, no? And so that's why we talk, and that's why Buddha gave the teachings of the aggregate to make clear there is no independent self, which is actually the path to liberation, to understand it, to attain final peace, final happiness. Nirvana is to understand this about there is no real self, an independent self, certain types of self, but we come later at this to this point. So in the five aggregates basically means our makeup as a being. So then there is the body aggregate, and there is the feeling aggregate, and the feeling is basically pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. And why did Buddha, point towards this as a special aggregation? Because it matters for our life. Experience, pleasant, unpleasant, all our decisions are based somewhat on this. All our striving is based on this. And then there is a third aggregate. This is called discrimination, in the sense of not racist discrimination, but discriminating this is this or this is that. So for instance, if you look at my color and shape, your eye consciousness is able to separate what belongs to my body from what belongs to the background of my body. Otherwise, you could not, otherwise, the whole background would speak to you. You know what I mean? So, and this discrimination is also learned. For instance, where is what is the border of my body, for instance, is another thing. But if you look on a microscopic level, where is the border of the body? Where does the body begin and end? This is quite an interesting thing, but it's another, okay. So then we have this discrimination, and also this discrimination dominates our experience, because if we discriminate a person as our enemy, or as bad, or as evil, something like this, usually dislike comes, aversion comes. So, and the more we discriminate people as somewhat whatever, that aversion comes, the worse we feel. So the more enemies you have in the world, the more unhappy you are. And then you can start to kill all the enemies, but it doesn't really fix the problem. You will have more enemies. It doesn't bring any change. And the same is, for instance, if you discriminate your child as a terrorist, it becomes a terrorist. If you discriminate your child as someone who is wild and needy, and you discriminate, I don't have the energy to cope with this. This is realistic, both is realistic. And then you think about, okay, maybe I cannot really fulfill all the needs of my child, so maybe I need help. or support, or I need a little bit space for myself, and then you take responsibility. And if you have this sound discrimination, actually you find solution, otherwise you are stuck in a deep problem, you know? And just this lacking of discrimination makes it all more horrible for you. And then you have, of course, more unpleasant feelings. From the more unpleasant feelings, more aversion arises. From the aversion, turmoil in the mind arises, then aggression arises, and then comes the point where you want to kill your child. It's not unnatural to want to kill your child. It's not unnatural. This happens because it's extremely demanding. It's utterly demanding. It's such a great job, and it's totally natural to have this thought. No? And then some people cannot control the thought anymore because they are overwhelmed, or either didn't receive help or didn't have the discrimination to seek help, and then they do something very harmful, abusing to the child or even kill the child. And actually this comes from this mixture of lack of discrimination, overwhelmed by negative feelings, and this created a big inner turmoil, and then so one is overwhelmed, and then one isolates one thing as to cause the child and wants to get rid of the problem, which was a dependent arising, and then kills the children. And of course, this has another consequence, because then you have to go to prison, you are shunned from society, so many other consequences. And of course, also because you are a mother, your maternal love also will somewhat awaken, and then you feel so ashamed. And then you start to hate yourself. Well, the next vicious circle starts. No? But then actually, discrimination would get in at that point and say, actually, if I had the strength, I would have been able to do differently with it better, because I didn't have, and because I didn't have support. And all those conditions came together, it happened like this. Now, I was blind and too weak to see this. Are we angry with a blind and weak person? Are we angry? No. We understand the person cannot do better. If we understand this and see this is discrimination, we can forgive ourselves. We still see it as a fault. We still think it horrible, but we don't hate ourselves. We forgive ourselves. And from there, healing can start, and the rest of our life, if we come from this point of healing, can be so good. And something, also a type of reparation, what we did. A balance, you could say. But it's not possible if we don't have this sound discrimination. No? So this is another aggregate, this discrimination. And then we have the so-called, this term doesn't come, compositional factor, something like this aggregate. I have to check again in my text. This is basically what is neither body nor mind. For instance, the feeling of time is one of those compounded or compositional factors. I have to check what the right term is. Does anybody know these philosophical terms? If not, I check in the break. Compositional factor, yeah, something like this. And so the feeling of time, and there are other things which are included in this aggregate, like for instance, for instance, discrimination is also no, this is not discrimination. Hate, anger, envy is also included in that aggregate. There are all factors which are neither mind or body, and then those are so-called other mental factors are included in this. And then we have the consciousnesses. This is the fifth aggregate. This is the sixth consciousness which I mentioned already. So these are things which collaborate and make up our being, no? And collaborate, but there is no essence, no core behind it. So, and the Buddha refers to those aggregates as the real suffering. And the real suffering, and appropriated, means because they were attained or came into existence based on the causes of suffering, which we didn't yet cover, which is karma and afflictive emotions, like ignorance, anger, hate, and so forth. And karma together were the force that we accumulate those aggregates. To now cut it down, what it means basically, these aggregates were formed or caused by the causes of suffering, like a poisonous tree from a seed. If a seed produces a poisonous tree, everything on the tree is poisoned. The leaves, the leaves and the fruit, and what is here, the bark, and so everything is so poisoned. And in a way, these aggregates were caused by the causes of suffering, and they are poisoned, permeated by the causes of suffering, and that's why any moment suffering can manifest within our aggregates, body pain, mental pain, in just one slight moment. We go eating, joyful, you just swallow wrongly, you might die. No? Every moment, or you just sit relaxed and then you have a heart, whatever. Inner and outer circumstances, slight change, terrible pain, terrible suffering. There is a potential that at any moment, at any time, big suffering can manifest in our continuum. This is one of the poisoning of our aggregates. It's even more. The aggregate itself are a causes of future suffering because we respond to our aggregates also with the cause of suffering, like attachment. Because of attachment and a lack of money, for instance, we maybe steal something like a perfume or something like what is expensive or food or so. And then out of attachment towards the body, it becomes a basis then to non-virtuous actions, which then bring negative karma, and we have to experience the result. Or we see the aggregates of others, and attachment or aversion arises. So these aggregates are from the causes poisoned by suffering. They have the potential to bring every moment suffering and are the basis for future suffering. In that sense, there are 3 levels of suffering within these aggregates. So in actuality, this is just the state of being as it is, and we are happy that hopefully often conditions are absent and the suffering doesn't come in. But then we are surprised when the suffering comes in because we have another expectation of life, because we are unrealistic. So, and then if you ask what is the benefit of hearing it, the benefit is basically, first of all, you see the reality and you are not as surprised if you experience suffering, understand it's something normal. And then the frustration, which comes from the disappointment, is not there anymore. You get more ease and peace in life, and then you can cultivate a motivation, I want to get rid of this suffering. And then your mind opens towards liberation, or attaining nirvana, and then you enter a spiritual path. And this is, of course, why the Buddha has taught this, to enter a profound spiritual path to achieve one of the 3 types of awakening, nirvana. And now you have to check what you want and how much you want to use these teachings and what we have in the afternoon for your life. Nobody has to attain nirvana. You can just have a happy life. But then if you have a happy life, it's also important to be realistic. No? So for instance, in the relationships, feelings change. So you love your partner partner loves you, wonderful. But sorry, it changes. So and then we are surprised that our feeling changes. No, it changes. Suddenly we don't love our partner anymore. It's normal, and the partner complains. Do you think the complaint will change our feelings? No, to the worse, yes, but not to the better, isn't it? But the same is also true for our partner, so why are we surprised her or his feelings change? It's nothing to surprise, it's just how it is. So we will a little bit go into this, and actually there is benefit in seeing this because from this comes acceptance, and from acceptance it eases the tension which comes from the non-acceptance, and tension is stress. So at the end, if our mind gets more and more used to see the reality and stand in peace with the reality and in acceptance, the more we can laugh about our life and the world. There's no miracle anymore. Our partner's feelings change. It's not so nice for us, but it's okay. It's just how it is. By the way, it can also change to the better, but we have to see. There's no certainty. This is one of the nature of samsara. We come later on. There's no certainty. It's just how it is. Okay, so far, makes sense? Okay. I see you smile a little bit, which makes me happy. I mean, we had quite some hot topics today. So let's give it a 1-minute break and then we go for the nuts, okay? A little bit rest and relax and then end in stillness and peace. So we can enjoy our pet, we can also enjoy all the foods and the drinks. There's nothing wrong with it. Just don't be carried away and see a little bit, it's not the real thing, but it's something.
So we're going to go to the Sikhdwara for a, well, it's like a donation-based Indian food. So if you want to come to that, then you're very, very welcome. It's really good fun, I like it. So you can follow us that's going there. If not, you can go somewhere else, maybe Gravesend, or if you've got your own food. We'll lock this door, so if you